Yo, welcome back today. First of all, I want to say one thing. Yo, I have to give a big commendable applause to my uncle, because after 20 odd something years, actually my aunt brought this back from Africa, and my uncle had two statues. So this is the man, and then there was a woman, and so she brought it back together, and my uncle accidentally lost the woman in a little mishap of moving things with some people. So she's lost, she was stolen, we don't know. But since that was the case, and now your boy right here, he's a single man now, my uncle actually gave him to me after 20 something years, that my aunt actually brought this back from Africa. I don't know exactly from where in Africa. I have to ask her and I have to ask him, but I'm pretty sure it's like either Central or West Africa. It looks like, it doesn't really look like from North Africa or East Africa or South Africa, but it could be. But most likely it's from either West Africa or Central Africa. So yeah, I thought that would be something that you guys were very interested in first. So yeah, say hi to him. And he likes you guys. He's going to stay with me now, so you might see him often. So I'm going to sit him right here on the side real fast. Also today, first of all, I want to say, how you guys doing? Peace and blessings as always. I just wanted to, say that the world is good, positive energy. Take out the negative energy, always positive. And now we're going to get into what I'm talking about today. Today we're going to be talking about the Afar ethnic group, Afar ethnic group and tribe, if you know it as tribe. And today we will be talking about how they were established and where they come from. The Afar ethnic group is sort of hard to talk about in a way because their history is passed down orally, but it's said that the Afar people, were originally from the Bija people, which is in Sudan and Egypt area. That's just a speculation. I'm not saying it's right for all the Afar people. I'm not saying it's right. It could be the opposite way around, or it could be, just that the Afar were from the northern Ethiopia and then, migrated down and created other ethnic groups and tribes and all that kind of stuff. But the first appearance of the Afar tribe, as far as like written history, since the Afar tribe is a nomadic people, meaning that they move around, and also they are forgot the word for it, but basically they're nomadic people that sometimes they don't always necessarily move around. Sometimes if they find a place that they really feel like is very beneficial to them and their lifestyle and like just surviving in general, especially in the desert, they will stay there. And there's some areas where some Afar will actually travel to the lowlands when it's not raining season and it's not flooding, and then when it's flooding and it's rain season, then they'll travel to the higher lands. So I forgot the word for that, but it's nomads plus it's another word, which I'll get back to you on that, but I forgot what that word is. But anyways, nomads, they move from place to place to place to place. So anyways, the Afar always pass their history down orally, but as far as like the first written history, or at least what we know, was in the Exam Kingdom in the 13th century, where the Afar was part of the Exam Empire, the army helping fight the armies and taking over some parts of Ethiopia, which is like modern day Djibouti and Eritrea, but at that time, it was all Ethiopia and part of the Exam Empire. And as far as that, there's two kinds of Afar. Now it's weird. What I'm about to say is sort of weird because I think it's changed over time. But for instance, at one point, there's in the Afar tribe, depending on, it doesn't matter whichever clan you go to, any Afar tribe, there was always the red ones and the white ones. And the red ones were like the more prestigious, like powerful noblemen. And the white ones were like the ones that were, more like commoners, and they were like living in the desert. And it was sort of weird, to put that into definition, because at one point, there was always like cities in Ethiopia, and kingdoms, but I'm not necessarily sure if the red ones were always like in the more vegetational area and like in the cities. To me, I think, and this is from what I think, my opinion, I think at one point it was just all the Afar tribe was at one area. So I don't think that the red ones and the white ones meant exactly what it means today. And I could be wrong about that. That's just me guessing, but I think that's what I think. But as far as today, or at least let's even say from the Exam Empire, from like the 800s to 900s all the way up to the 1500s, 1300s, 1400s. The red ones were the noblemen that lived in like the bigger cities and kingdoms and like more vegetational area, and then the white ones were like the commoners that lived out in the desert. The most of the Afar are centered in Ethiopia, but the Afar are also in Djibouti and Eritrea, seeing that Djibouti, Eritrea, and Somalia all at one point were Ethiopia. And not some, for some, depending on what you're talking about, especially Eritrea, not too long ago, it was Ethiopia. And most of the Afar that live in Ethiopia, since that's where the biggest population is at, live in the desert, and especially in the Danakil depression, like around the area, that desert, where the plain salts and the active volcanoes are at. But there's actually some Afar that live in Addis, which is the big city, and they have jobs just like everybody else, and they go along about their business living in the big city, but majority of the Afar live out in like the desert, or like around the area. Now, like around the Danakil depression or desert, it's always an active volcano. Like literally, it's tearing itself apart every day. There's salt that's being created. Actually, a lot of the Afar are known for trading salt back and forth between African countries in the Middle East. And at one point, they were like a big trader of salt and different kind of like volcanic rocks and like any kind of goods that would come around like a very salty area. Like the minerals and things that Dead Sea minerals, or just things that most Westerns or people around the world are common, like see in a store, like sea salt and things like that. That nature, they produce things like that. So, excuse me. So the Afar are well known for that. Their diet consists of meat and milk. That's usually their Afar's diet. They always have camels and just livestock with them. So meat and milk is like always the staple of, I would say, majority of the nomads, especially in Africa. That's the staple of their diet, because obviously camels can last for a very long time. Camels, are basically like the old school, what would we like to say? Camels are like the old school Honda Civic or Toyota Prius. Meaning that, you can give them a little bit and they can last for a long time. So the reason that I use that metaphor is because you can put Toyota Prius nowadays gets like 50 miles to the gallon, something like that, a little bit more. That's what the camel was. That's what the camel always is. So therefore, the camel was the best fit animal for the desert, and that's why the Afar use the animals, or the camels. Now the Afar live in like camps. The Afar in the desert, not the ones in the city, but the Afar in the desert, they live in camps that are surrounded by like thorn barricades, and that protects them from wild animals and different tribesmen from different tribes. And within those thorn barricades, they have like oval-shaped huts, and they're called Ari. Man, when am I going to stop butchering things, right? I think it's Ari, I would like to say. And they're made from like palm mats, and they're like very easily moved. They take them down really quickly, almost similar to the Fulani. I mean, or just in general, any nomadic people that move from place to place. So yes, their huts are made out of palm mats, and that is the Afar's living quarters. So other than that, as far as like the daily life of what they eat, like the milk is very important to the Afar, and it's a social status. So if you, let's say for instance, you went to go visit the Afar or anybody, if they give you fresh milk, that means that they are going to, provide you immediate protection, meaning that even if they don't know you, they don't know what you're after, or they don't know what if anybody's after you. If a person kills you, or they come after you, the Afar, basically, if they're coming after you, the Afar will protect you with AK-47s, which they're very known for, and they also have sharp knives that are curved sharp knives. They're very famous for, and AK-47s, but I'll get to that in a minute. But they will protect you, and basically they will shoot anybody that is coming towards you, which I'm pretty sure if some Afar came with some AK-47s, unless it's an army, I'm pretty sure most people won't mess with you. But that's just my assumption. seeing AK-47s in real life before being shot, So that is that. And if you get killed and they're around or they're not around, but you were under their protection, they will hunt that person down as far as they can to kill them to avenge your death. I know, right? Yo, the Afar is seeming better and better to me. Maybe I have a couple of Afar friends, but maybe I need to ask them about these questions. Yo, you gonna protect me? You going to take care of me if something happens to me? So, other than that, the Afar social status. Now, the women usually take care of the house duties, and also cooking and cleaning and the kids and things of that sort. And it's funny fact that the women are actually the very vocal, which I think majority of women in society, I think maybe society has just started men singing. Well, I can't say that. Men have always sung throughout history, but in the Afar society, women are the singers. So they're very, very known, very good for singers. So they're always the ones coming up with songs and passing along ancient traditional songs and, things of that nature. So the woman is very, very dependent on in the Afar tribe. Now, the men basically go out and hunt. They do political affairs. They wage war, whether it be with another Afar clan or with a different tribe. The Afar men hunt, obviously. The Afar men are very, very known for carrying around AK-47s, like I said, and which you already know what an AK-47 is. And if you don't, it's a gun that shoots a lot of rounds of bullets and is very world renowned and is probably going to go down as one of the most legendary guns ever made, in the last, couple hundred years or 100 years. So yeah, and they're also known for their swords. The swords are very curved. This is very amazing to me, when I've seen it, because I've seen Afar in Djibouti, the women. I have pictures of carrying swords. I'm going to put on it, but carrying the swords that are slanted and carved a certain way. But the men are very known for carrying around their swords and very famous throughout all of Africa and the world for the shape of their swords, coming out up and then turning to the left. And yeah, so their weapon of choice obviously are their famous swords and their AK-47s, which you will not most likely see Afar unless he lives in the city under the protection, obviously, of the Ethiopian government. You will never see Afar without his AK-47 or his sword, which is very understandable, seeing that you have to fend for yourself. I feel like every man should be able to bear arms and take care of themselves. So that is a little bit about the Afar men. Now, the Afar women have to go through something very painful, which I just learned about not too long ago, which is I think is more so common in the Western world and throughout I guess the rest of the world and Africa, but maybe not necessarily in the Afar tribe, to where the women actually get circumcised. So the men don't get circumcised, the women get circumcised. So the women get circumcised because of religious reasons. A lot of Afar are Muslim now, but I'll get that to in a minute. But that is necessarily, I guess that is the biggest reason why they do get circumcised. But the women get circumcised, and basically that's to prove to the men that, look, I'm a virgin, I'm not having sex before I get married to you, and basically I'm a virgin. So that's what that signifies. So women have to go through very painful circumcision. Some as young as 1 week old, and then some all the way up to the maybe 15, 16, whenever. I don't want to call it because it's it depends on the mother and what she thinks when it should be done. But I would think the younger the better, seeing that the men want to marry the woman. So if they weren't circumcised, some of the Afar women say that the men wouldn't want them because they wouldn't know if they were having sex or not, and all that kind of jazz. So the women have to be circumcised, and it's really funny to me because most of the time in the world that I grew up in, as far as the Western world, and probably even other parts of Africa and in Europe and Asia, for the most part that I've known of, the man is always the one getting circumcised. So that was really interesting to me to see that the women get circumcised. Obviously it's something that most people, especially men, have when they're younger, which I'm pretty sure a lot of men probably are thinking their parents that they did it. If they did it, not saying it's wrong or right, but I'm saying if they did do it, pretty sure they're thinking them when they're younger, because who wants to be snipping down there when you're older, especially thinking about it for all those years too. So the women have to definitely get circumcised, and they get circumcised, and it's very painful, but it's a cultural thing, and the Afar believe in it, and I'm neither against it nor with it. I just know about it. To be truly honest with you, I don't even know the benefits of circumcision that much to begin with, other than maybe the can't even say it, cleanseness, the clean part about it. Let's just leave it at that. So the Afar population is, I want to say, in Ethiopia is about 1.4 million, and then it goes down from there, from different countries. Then obviously Djibouti and Eritrea having the second and third biggest populations, and after that the whole world, European countries, Kenya, I think Kenya, other African countries, and then America, and then other countries in general. So the Afar people are said. Some people say they come from, like I said, some people say they come from the Bija, which is a ancient tribe that's in Sudan and Egypt, and some say the Afar were straight off of the Egyptian wall that came from Ethiopia, and then migrated north and south and east and west. So to be honest with you, there's been a lot of occasions of the Afar trading back and forth with the Egyptians, and I personally myself believe that the Afars are one of the original tribes, Egyptian tribes that were from the Nile River. Seeing where they're at, seeing just the Egyptian history and the settlers of the Nile River and who was there at that time, which would probably be more so the Afar, the Bija, the Nubians, the Amara, if I said that right, and just so many different kind of tribes that set their home in the Nile River, or settled in the Nile River area. So that is a little bit about the Afar tribe. I wish I could tell you more about the Afar tribe, but I don't know too much more. But the reason I make these videos is even to pass along to the next generation even the little bit of knowledge that we do have, because the Afar tribe is very, majority of them are very secluded out in the desert, and there hasn't been many trips by people, by scientists. I mean, some, but there hasn't been enough to know the history of the Afar, because a lot of it was passed down oral, by oral tradition. But maybe one day they'll find out that Afar is from a different tribe, or maybe they'll find out that Afar is the oldest tribe. It's the only time will tell. But like I said, the reason I make these videos is because at one point, you never know how assimilated different ethnic groups will get, and maybe at one point in the future, 100 years from now, 1,000 years from now, maybe this video can at least shed light on like the basics of a tribe that did exist, rather than just forgetting about ethnic group that did exist and did contribute to the social buildup of Ethiopia, and still does. So I hope you enjoyed my video on the Afar ethnic group and tribe. To all my Afar people, I hope you're doing very good. Peace and blessings. And to all the rest of my African people around the world, African Americans, you know how I do. I'm going to do the rundown right now. To African Americans, to my people in Libya, to my people in the Congo, to my people in Angola, to my black people in Europe, France, Great Britain, Dutch, Ireland, where else can we say? Albania, Russia, Canada, and Honduras, and Panama, and Dominican Republic, and Portugal. Yo, I could keep going all day. But to all you guys, to all my black people around the world, peace and blessings, one love, stay positive, always get rid of the negative energy as much as you can. There's duality in life, so there's always negative and positive, but always try to let the positive outweigh the negative. And if you're a negative person all the time, you probably need to change your music. That's really one thing I like to say to people: change your music. Listen to positive music. You hear rap nowadays, it's horrible. It's horrible, and that's a whole different subject I'm gonna go into in one video. But change your music. If you want positivity, make yourself positive. Me myself, what I do, I listen to reggae. I listen to a lot of uplifting music. I listen to real hip hop. I listen to jazz, funk, soul, Afro punk, rock and roll, which we created. I don't want nobody to forget that. And just all kind of positive black music, African music, soca, raga, rough and tough, all kind of stuff. So once again, like I always say, be positive, believe in yourself, know your history, learn your history, and I'm out. And one love. Peace.
በልዩነት ውስጥነት ልዩነት የሚታይበት ድንበር ብሔራዊነት ፍቅር ነው ኢትዮጵያዊነት ሉባኮ 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 ፍልስት ሐልሐል 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 በልዩነት ውስጥ አንድነት ልዩነት የሚታይበት ድንበር ብሔራዊነት